Just click go live. We're actually 3 minutes early today, which is
That's
interesting.
awesome. It's better to be early
It's always better to
than
be
to be on time, right?
Yes, it is. So I'm pulling it up on Facebook to make sure we're good to go so I can follow along. Any of our viewers want to engage. See it here on my computer, but not on my phone. Here we are. All right. Well, thank you, Bill, for sharing your time with us this morning. I'm really excited.
So am I.
Get to share your greatness with everyone. Just a quick introduction. If you guys are watching, you don't know who Bill Kenny is. Bill Kenny is one of our agents here at Keller Williams Realty Center. Very good friend of mine. I actually knew Bill before either of us got into real estate, and it's been fun growing with him as we continue to come up through the ranks. But Bill started with, we talk about starting with the end in mind, and you definitely did that, right? So Bill is also a full-time real estate investor in all regards. He does owner financing, he does wholesaling, he does buy and holds, he does flips, he does rentals, has a very impressive rental portfolio. He has all that good stuff. So he started with the end in mind, and the end for Bill has always been passive income. So Bill, thanks for being with us this morning. I'm excited to kind of chat with you a little bit on air here today and answer any questions and share some gold. So I'll let you kind of start off with what you have. I know you took some notes in preparation for this, so just kind of turn it over to you real quick.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite because, we're always talking this kind of stuff and how to get better, how to grow our business, how to become better people. And I think this will just be a little extension of that. So I'm happy to be your second guest on this little series here.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, so as far as my business goes, I've always my plan from the get-go was to be a real estate investor, and the real estate agent piece came a little bit later, and it was just a little extension onto my investor business that actually grew out of proportion and became a big part of my life now. So I think my business is a lot different than most real estate agents'
I would agree.
businesses.
I
Yeah,
would agree with
and
that.
you know that. And I think that could be an interesting topic that we could speak a little bit about how I'm swimming in a different stream, I think, than most agents are, and maybe that would be of interest to the audience here.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So I know, like you said, I know your business very intimately, right? Like I'm very,
Hmm.
I won't say involved, but we talk very regularly.
Yeah.
But again, just so you guys watching know, Bill's focus is in real estate investing. All of his marketing, all of his lead generation is geared towards that. The traditional real estate that he does is an extension of that. It's the spin-off of that. It's, as he's
Yeah.
marketing for investment opportunities, he comes across sellers where it's not an ideal fit for his investment business. He's like, oh, by the way, I can help you on a traditional real estate sale as well, if that's the better option, which is actually pretty cool because a lot of times real estate investors get a bad rap, right? Like these real estate sharks are trying to take advantage of people. But when you show up, you have a wide range of solutions to whatever their
Yeah.
problem might be.
2 points to that. One of the things that you made me think of when you said that was my coach says, you're making a lot of money off the sawdust, which, if you have a sawmill, you're making lumber, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you sweep off the floor and you can make money of that. And so that's a lot of the leads that we generate that I can turn around and help people list and sell. So
To that point, it's that the same point you're making, right? It's like I introduced you to an agent recently who came across a seller, and she couldn't help this person. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know how to solve this person's problem. I'm like, you know what? This sounds like something that Bill would be able to help with. And we made the introduction, and you actually were able to work it out. It was a win for everybody. So it's like,
yeah, that's
when most real estate agents encounter a situation like that, it becomes a problem. And for you, it's actually a huge opportunity.
yeah, it's what we already do. It's we can talk about that point a lot. Obviously, we're solving problems in the work we do, and the bigger problems, you're going to get rewarded in a bigger proportion for those. So as a real estate investor, you're typically solving a little bit bigger of a problem in most cases, from my standpoint. And in that case, that was one that we would typically see, in our marketing, and we've dealt with those before. So we were, able to offer a solution for that seller, where a typical agent that would have tripped them up, or would have been, a whole new skill set they would have had to learned. So that was important, being in our network, and knowing the right people, and getting the right connections. And I was able to help that person out, help the seller out, and I was able to help the agent out too. She got a piece of the action too. So everybody won in that one.
So
one point I wanted to make before we got too further down the road here was, originally you said sometimes real estate investors get a bad rap, and that is very true. I think one of the things that helps agents is they have to be licensed. So you have to jump through some hoops. A lot of real estate investors don't have to be licensed. And I think that's been important to me, but also there's some, ethical standards and, for some performance standards that you have to be as an agent. And we've applied those to our real estate investor business. So we're giving that customer that same level of, what's the term? It escapes me.
Fairness, ethics.
Yeah. There's a term for it, but it's where you take the client's interest as your own.
Fiduciary.
Yeah, your fiduciary.
Fiduciary.
Yeah, and we do that the same way. So that's how we build our business, on those things. And there's a lot of real estate investors that and I know that are just trying to make a buck, and that's not how you succeed long term.
Yep, long term is the key. Long term is the key.
Yep.
So I want to go back. The specific situation where you help this agent, you help this guy. I forget the details, and I don't know how much you can or you are willing to share. But can you kind of walk us through, what the situation was?
Yeah, the situation was, it had a lot of liens on the property, and some of them were, I think they were, I don't know if it was a tax lien, but it was some kind of state lien that that this agent had never seen before, and it involved talking to a couple different people, and we had solved a problem like that before. So it's not that we're solving the problems. It's just that we've built the network of people that we go to that give us guidance to solve those problems. We have the people in our network, the real estate attorneys, and all those kinds of assets that you need to solve these big problems. And so we were able to dig down into that a little bit and find out, this was definitely something that we could handle. And then they didn't want a traditional sale for a lot of different reasons. They didn't want a traditional sale. So there was a couple layers to this thing. They didn't want to be on the market. They didn't want to fix their property up. They didn't want to clean it out. They didn't want to, do the work necessary. So all of those are the basic things that come with selling off market that we do. There were some other, lien type issues that we had to walk through and figure out before we could get it closed, but we'd worked through those before. So there's, solving problems. There's all kinds of different problems to solve. And it's not always that cookie cutter deal where, all right, let me clean it up. Let me do a little bit of work, put it up on the market. and then we're going to run people through your house, and we're going to show it, and then we're going to negotiate. We're going to do appraisals. We're going to do inspections, all that stuff. Some people don't want to do that stuff.
Right.
And that's where we can come in, and we have like a menu of options, really, that, hey, we can do this, we can do this, this, and this. Tell us what you want, where you want to be, and then I'll say this might be work best for you.
This is the tool. This is the map that I have.
Right.
We're going to use this map to get you there. This map makes no sense.
Yeah, we got all these different tools we can pull out of our tool belt. Let me know which one you want. Yep. We're not going to just use the hammer every time. Right. Sometimes you got to use the screwdriver or the wrench.
Yep. Love that. Mm-hmm. So you had mentioned networking. And, I know, and sometimes I feel this way myself, even to get started, sometimes we feel like we need to have all the answers. And sometimes, especially in real estate investing, a lot of times people think they need to have the money first, and they get hung up on, well, I don't have the money, or I don't have the even credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are real estate investors and don't have great credit. Like they don't have the credit to go get a mortgage, or they don't have the income or the money, and really that can be flawed thinking. I know you and I talk about this a lot. So let's dig in on this a little bit.
Yeah. The first thing is that to even step further back, like what's the first domino? So obviously your mindset's wrong around that, because we know that's not true. We know it's not true that you have to have the money. We know it's not true that you have to have the deal. We know that's not true to get started. What is true is that you have to understand that that those things aren't true, and that you can move forward without those two things. So there's a lot of ways to go with that question, but obviously you have to bring something to the table, right? You have to show up, and you can't just say, hey, I'm here, give me a deal, give me the money, right? You have to start with value somewhere. So if that's where you are right now, you may have to figure out, what value can I bring to somebody so that I can learn what I need to learn to move forward. Or it could be as simple as what I did was I started reading. I started trying to understand how I could get to where I wanted to be. And through that education, there's certain things that you have to do. Obviously, you have to do to make things happen, right? It's not going to just show up in your lap just because you understand it. So you have to take action. And one of the very first things I did was I joined a networking group. And from that, the relationships that I made, I still have amazing relationships with people that I met from that first experience that I had in my networking group. But if I wouldn't have got off the couch and walked in, and it was very tough to walk into that first networking group, because you walk in feeling all these people know what they're doing and I don't know anything, and I can't have a conversation with these people. But the reality of the situation is there's a lot of people just like you there, or there's a lot of people that have been there for 10 years and still haven't done a deal. So you may come in with a certain set of skills that you've already developed in some area that you can apply and create value for somebody. But it all starts with taking some kind of action. And to your point, the money's out there, the deals are out there. You can make relationships with people and find deals, and you can match up that money. You don't need money. Every property I bought after I had lost my W-2 job. Well, the first one I bought on owner finance when I had a job.
Stop right there. Did you guys hear what he just said? He says every property he ever bought, he bought after he lost his W-2 job. So you don't need the money, right?
You do not need the money. You do not need the money.
I think number one is the network. I think the number one thing you need is a network. You got to find people who are doing what you want to do, and surround yourself with those people, no matter what it is, whether it's traditional real estate, whether it's real estate investing, whether it's getting fit, whatever it is, find people who are doing that, surround yourself with those people, and eventually you will start to play at their level.
That's one of the basic principles of success, is that, and we say this all the time, that show me your 5 friends and I'll show you who you're going to become. And so the inverse of that is, if you want to be like such and such, then you need to get into that circle, or you need to add that person as a friend or a coach or a mentor. You have to level up. You have to get up. You have to maybe change your friend group. Maybe you don't have to lose friends, but you have to make new acquaintances and build relationships with people that are doing already what you want to get to. You have to do that. There's no
And
doubt about
then
it.
the cool thing about that is when you do that, guess what? Now your old friends have the option to come along too, right? Because now you're reaching up over here with one hand, and now you can go reach down with the other hand and bring
Yeah.
other people along
Yeah.
with, which I love. And I love that about you. I know you share a lot, and you'll sit down with people, and you'll share your success, and you'll share your tricks and secrets, right? Like, and it's up to people to go
Yeah.
apply it, which is another point that you made. You had mentioned, reading the books and all that, but and you said you got to get off the couch. Here's the thing. You can read a book on how to play tennis or how to play basketball. It doesn't mean you know how to play, right?
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
some ideas. It's
Yeah.
a totally different thing when you get out there on the court and you have to actually do it. And that's really where the learning happens. Most of us want to wait till we have, and this is true in all areas of life. We wait too long thinking that we need all the answers. We need to have it all figured out. Like, one of my favorite quotes, I know you and I talk about this a lot, is go as far as you can see. And when you get there, you'll be able to see further, right? Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you don't need all the answers.
You have to take action, because there's a million little things that you're not going to learn in that book that you're going to have to overcome. We've all seen the diagram of, this success journey, where some people think it's like this, but no, it's up and down and over the mountain and through the river and climb this bigger mountain and fall off the cliff and get back up. And that's what it is. There are so many hurdles. If it's worth having, then it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult. But if you persevere through those things, then you're just going to grow as a person. You're going to grow as a person. You're going to become better. And the only way to get better in life is to get better as a person. It's as simple as that.
It starts with you.
For things to get better, you have to get better. For your life to improve, you have to improve. It's that simple. And that would probably be, if I'm telling anybody that's just getting started in real estate as an agent or as an investor, you have to go on a self-improvement journey. And you and I have been on that journey for 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
And it's easy for us because we love it. And that's why we continue on it, because we love it. We've learned so much from it, and we've grown. And I think it's undeniable to say that we haven't improved over the last 5 years. You can't look back and not say that. And it's because we've been on that personal development journey for so long.
I often say that my favorite thing to work on is myself, right? And that can come across as selfish, but really when I'm working on myself and I'm getting better, I'm able to show up so much better for everyone else. Like, I'm able to have a different conversation. Then when I fix my own problems and sort my own crap out, well, guess what? When someone else is sharing something with me, I can say, you know what? I was dealing with the same thing. This is what I did. This is what I thought. This is how I thought about it. And I'm able to help people that way. That's awesome. It's funny. I shared the lesson. I recently learned a lesson in business first, and how it was showing up in business and on me. And then I realized it was showing up in my family life with my wife and my kids. And like, it was actually like a really sad thing. And when it hit me, I just kind of laughed about it, because now I know, right? Like, now, okay, I'm so grateful that I learned this lesson, because now I can change and do things differently. And it's the same, it's the same thing here.
It's funny how sometimes it's so obvious after you see it, but prior to seeing it, it just never was there. It's a lesson that you've applied in one area of your life, and then you could say, well, why am I not applying it in this area of my life? Because it's improved me so much. So You've always got to
Blind
be on a,
spots. It's just blind spots.
yeah,
It's why your network of friends is so important. It's why, a coach is important, why these masterminds are important,
yeah.
because when someone is sharing something, they're shining light in areas you might not be seeing right now. I love it. So we talked about networking a lot. Bill, if someone wanted to get started in real estate investing, where would they start with building their network?
So the way I started, and it's the reason that we started our meetup group, just find whatever it is that you want. So for instance, real estate investors, there's real estate meetups all over the place. You just have to, dig in, start asking questions and find those. That's the reason that's one of the biggest reasons of my success. I already said that, but starting and making those relationships are huge. I mean, that's where I found my current business partner. We've been doing business for over 5 years, and our company's been in business for about 2.5 years. But just think if I wouldn't have got off the couch and went to that, I would have just continued to say, oh, well, I'm not worthy, or, I'll figure it out on my own. That's not true. Your network is just being in a mastermind group that we're in. We're in a nationwide mastermind group. You wouldn't believe the things that we're exposed to that over time show up in your business. Now, where would those ideas have come if you weren't there? Or where were those relationships that you can make with those people, lean on them when you have questions and grow your business?
Or how much longer would it take, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's the thing too. Like, would you have learned it eventually? Maybe, yeah.
maybe
But
not
how
though.
long?
Yeah.
How long would it have taken? Guys, for those of you watching, I just want to share, like, this is the kind of person Bill is. Like, I know Bill in and out, and I gave him like this softball lob to shamelessly plug his own meetup group, and he didn't. So I'm going to plug it for him. If you are interested in checking out or starting real estate investing, learning more about real estate investing, starting to grow your network, continuing to grow your network, Bill actually runs a investor meetup group once a month. What is it, the second or third Thursday?
It's usually the third Thursday of the month in Martinsburg. It's called the I-81 Real Estate Investor Meetup. And we have a speaker that comes and talks about different areas of real estate investing or business growth. And they speak for about an hour or two. And then we have a networking session before and after. And it's just, Mike and I started just because we wanted to have a couple beers and talk real estate. That's what he always says. And it's so true. We held our first one not knowing if it was just going to be him and I, at the first one. And turns out 11 people showed up, and we've had a good crowd ever since then. The pandemic kind of put a roadblock in it, like most things, but we're back up and running. We have an extension of that, a Facebook page called the I-81 Real Estate Investors, where we have hundreds of people on there that are involved in real estate investing up and down the I-81 corridor, Winchester, Martinsburg, Hagerstown, Chambersburg, all through there. We have people from Frederick because we do deals in Frederick. So it's just an extension of that group. When we're not meeting, people can get on there, ask questions, make relationships. But the big one is we meet once a month, we talk real estate, and we get to, see people eye to eye and make relationships.
Are you still streaming? Are you still streaming that to your Facebook group?
Yeah. We started that. So back in, we had to cancel it obviously in March of last year. And then we did it for about 4 months. We just did it online. And that was a hell of a nightmare because we're not IT people. We had to struggle with that, getting that figured out. The first one, if you can go back and watch that one, it's just ridiculous. We like had to hold one computer up to another one.
Here's the you did it.
Yes, we got it figured out.
That's a lesson in itself right there. Like, you were
Perseverance.
figuring it out. If I know you probably procrastinated, waited till the last minute. Like, it's 5 minutes till showtime.
Yeah.
And there's like, for the first time trying, well, how's this thing going to work? I do it too. But you did it, right? Like, you pushed through, you figured it out, you got it. It was good enough. Like, it worked. Right.
It didn't matter. We got it done. We laughed for about 20 minutes, and then we started talking real estate investing. So it was a good laugh. But
so I know on Facebook we can get like a national audience, right? So don't be afraid to just plug into the to the Facebook page and check out the stream. Like obviously the local market stats aren't going to apply to your market if you're coming from across the country, but it can give you an idea of what you should be looking at in your local market, and also give you an opportunity to network. Like, you know, we're more and more, it's becoming a global economy where we can interact and exchange and share ideas and do business in other locations. So don't be afraid to check it out if you're watching from somewhere maybe not necessarily local.
Yeah, we're buying houses for people in California. I'm selling properties for a guy in Hong Kong. I mean, you know, there's no borders anymore to this stuff.
That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any, I have a few questions here, but before we
Yeah.
jump into, is there anything in particular that you want to share before I get into these questions?
I would just say that I know one of the things that I'd actually like to do more business within our group, and sometimes I have to get more vocal, and I have to be you know, engage a lot more in our local group here at KW. But I think there's a lot of things that that we could share and learn as real estate investors and real estate agents together. And I think there's a lot more deals we can do together. And I think we need to maybe talk about that and figure out how to do that. But if there's the agents out there that are having trouble or with deals, bring them my way. Or if you want to learn how to do real estate investing, I'd be more than open to connect with any agents in our brokerage or anywhere. There's a lot of synergies that we can put together and do a lot more deals and help a lot more people. That would be the only thing that I would say.
So let's make this really easy for them. When you're saying if they're running into a struggle, like what could that look like? I know what it could look like, but what could that look like? I mean, we gave one example earlier with the liens, but
Yeah.
what else could it look like?
As we know in real estate, there's a lot of properties that you just can't put on the market. The first thing I would say to all agents is a lot of agents go in and say, how can I list this property? The question they should actually be asking is, how can I buy this house? That's the first question. So without going down a large list of things that can be done, every agent has an opportunity to help that client by making their life a lot easier by just buying the damn property, right? Like,
Yes.
how much easier is it to sell your property to somebody than to list it? So much easier.
Can be easier. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think we have a lot of time, but you know, in most cases, it's going to be, you know, a distressed property. A seller has a problem, or they need to sell quicker, or they can't get the property listed in time. We're actually doing things where we'll go in, the seller will retain ownership of the property, and we'll help them fix it up and list it. So we've got like that whole spectrum of things. We can just give you a cash offer. We can help you fix and list it. We can buy it and do the work. We can, you know, take over your mortgage and give you cash. There's just so many options.
So check this out. This is I'll make it pretty simple. If you're going to a listing as an agent, if you're going to a listing or talking to a potential seller, and it doesn't sound like something that you're able to just throw in the market, or here, touch up paint, I'll have the photographer come out. If there's a problem, if the house needs more work than the seller is able or willing to do, or if there's additional liens or issues with late payments or taxes that are an issue, and the seller doesn't have the means to make it right in order to sell, like that's the type of stuff that Bill and his team are able to help with. And I know from seeing you interact and do business, you make sure everybody's taken care of, and you always look for the win-win. So if any of you agents out there come across any opportunities like that or obstacles like that, Bill would be a good resource. If you're a potential seller and you're watching and you feel like that's speaking to you, again, Bill would be a good resource to help you with that. Anything else?
No, that's very well said. Yeah. I mean, you know, my real estate agent business is listing heavy because we're talking to sellers. And then we flip properties, we buy them for cash, we fix them up really nice and sell it. So I've become pretty accomplished at listing properties. I do help a lot of investors buy properties. I'm not so much on the buyer side, but I can help buyers out as well. But traditionally, I'm working with sellers, 90% of the time, and we know exactly what to do to put them in a good position to maximize the return on their investment.
Awesome. So, couple of questions. Knowing what you know right now, what did you wish you knew 3 or 4 years ago?
It's a great question. So something that jumps to mind is a phrase called discipline equals freedom. You've heard that before, right? So I think there's a lot of things that are extremely important, but self-discipline is super important. You have to start building those little micro habits in the beginning that compound over time. So find out, obviously you want to know where you're headed in life and what's it going to take to get there. The discipline to do those little things every day. If you want to be, Michael Phelps, what does that look like? There's micro habits that go there, right? You have to start eating right, maybe eliminating the alcohol from your diet. Maybe
not necessarily the weed though, right? You can
not
keep
necessarily the weed. Yeah. Keep that in there, but
results may vary. Results may vary.
But I think you're not going to get anywhere unless you develop the discipline or the habit of self-discipline. One of the books that I read early on that has stuck with me forever is The Compound Effect. And I would if you haven't read that book, go read it immediately, because the little things that you do every day are going to show up in a big way years down the road, 5 years from now, right? You can be anywhere you want to be in 5 years. You can be in the wrong direction in 5 years. If you continue those micro habits going. And it doesn't mean that you have to do 100 push-ups today. It means that you have to do 1 push-up today, right? And then maybe you do 2.
Yes.
So, some other things that I would say is, we talked about this, delayed gratification. Everybody wants everything now, and that's just not the way it works. When you're compounding on those micro habits, it's going to take a while, but you stay the course, understand that you're going to get there. If you have good mentors, a good circle of friends that are pushing you in the right direction, it's just a matter of time. And one of the other things that I didn't do 3 to 4 years ago was, this may be a little bit of a surprise, but you really have to reserve your energy or understand how to say no. There's a lot of things that I took on. Like I thought, okay, let me do everything that I can. Like I'll do BPOs. I'll go out into other counties and I'll take buyers out there. I'll do leases. I'll do all that kind of stuff. And that just waters down what you can niche down on and get good at. So you have to say no to things that are taking you in the wrong direction. And you have to reserve your energy for those big rocks, as we call them, those priorities in your life.
So we have, I don't want this to go on too much further. We're about 30 minutes in. I would say another 10 or 15 minutes max, but do we have time for the Richard Bronson story on that?
That's a great story. And I haven't told that one in a long time.
Yeah.
Do you remember it?
I remember enough to get through the story. So
I'll remember it when you start it up.
So Richard Bronson, of course,
it's a great story.
Richard Bronson, Virgin Mobile, Virgin Airlines, very successful guy. They come up with their goal for the next year, right? This company or organization wants Richard Bronson to come to a speech. And they're like, they call up his office. They're trying to pay him to do a speech. We'll give you $250,000. And they're like, nope, he's not doing it. He said no. They call back. We'll give you $350,000. We'll pay him $350,000 to come out and do this presentation or do this speech. No, he says no. He's not doing it.
It's his secretary that keeps saying no.
Okay, so then they $400,000, $500,000. No, he's not doing it. what did it get up to, 1 million or
Yeah,
something, like
yeah.
something stupid, $1
Well,
million?
we really want him
Oh,
to be part of our event. We'll give him $1 million for a 1 hour speech. And his,
no, not doing it.
and
And instead,
the
go ahead.
secretary, yeah, the secretary says, Mr. Branson has told me that he's got one goal this month. And if it doesn't meet, if a request doesn't fall in line with that one goal, I'm to deny it.
And I mean, come on, $1 million
Yeah.
for a speech, like that's the discipline.
Yeah,
that you're talking
but
about,
that's
right?
the discipline. That's the
And
focus.
knowing where you're going to, knowing where you're trying to go.
There's so many things, like that story is a great example. There's so many things that will distract you and take you off the path. And maybe at some point you do want to change your path, but until when you've figured out what you want, you have to stay consistent, and you have to build those habits and stay on that path, because getting off the path is just going to take you further away from that end goal.
Yep. And then you end up lost. You just end up wondering what in the world you're doing. All right. Another question. Of all the business or life lessons you've learned, if you could only pass one on to your kids, what would it be?
We pretty much hit on this. I would say you got to start working on yourself early and often. I think that's where it's at. It's hard as a kid. When I was 18 years old, it's almost impossible to know what you want to do with the rest of your life. And I don't think there's any way to answer that question without trying to learn and be around people and find things, do things, and learn things. And that will eventually, something will grab hold of there, and that will pull you in that right direction. But you have to start working on yourself. You have to start getting better. You have to start figuring out what those micro habits are. And we already talked about that. You have to build some kind of self-discipline, because whatever you choose, it doesn't matter what you choose to be in life. Those habits, the delayed gratification, the self-discipline, reserving your energy, those things are always going to show up big in anything that you do. So you have to get better. You have to improve yourself. You have to network. You have to level up. You have to, get in masterminds, read books, take on trainings. Once you get out of high school or college, your education has just started at that point. If you think it's over, then you're over.
As I'm sitting here thinking about this, it's like every single thing has value, right? How much value is to be determined, right?
You don't know where one little conversation is going to take you. So just having conversations with people that are achieving anything higher than you can spark something that can interest you and lead you down a new path, especially when you're young. That's what the question is. You just never know where it's going to go. You have to be open to meet people and have conversations and learn and see where that takes you.
Yeah, that's some of the conversations I'm having with my kids. My kids are late teens at this point, and I'm just like, the value by investing in ourselves, reading the books, going to the class, going to the seminar, going to the networking, listening to the podcast, that's increasing my value, which then increases my worth to the marketplace, right? Like it makes me a better person for my friends and family and colleagues as well, but it also increases my value in the marketplace. If I'm able to deliver a better message, or I'm able to move people from point A to point B, then there's a certain value that's attached to that.
I mean, we've even had the conversation.
Yourself.
We've even just recently had the conversation, like you and I, about we're reading and listening to all these books. How do we apply more of this stuff? Do we slow down and read less and dig in more, or do we, what's that look like? So that just comes into getting better at your craft, building better habits, You can ram through 250 books in a year, but what are you going to get out of it? Maybe you should slow down and read 12 and implement 12 things that year. So there's all these conversations. There's so many ways to go. It's building good habits, and it's just putting one foot in front of the other and keep going down the right path, the right
Awesome.
path.
Thank you, Bill. We're getting close to the end of the time here. I know you got something to immediately following this, as do I. Real quick, can you plug the mastermind and your Facebook group and all that again for the people who may be just now tuning in? Where can they find you?
Yeah, our real estate investing meetup group is in Martinsburg. It meets the third Thursday of every month at the Holiday Inn in Martinsburg. You can go to mdwvhomebuyer.com and you can see a link to I-81 Real Estate Investors. That gives the whole schedule for the year. We have a speaker come in and speak for about an hour or two on real estate investing and business topics. We have an extension of that meetup group, which is called the I-81 Real Estate Investors. It's a private Facebook group. We ask that you join, and then we kind of make sure that we want you in the group. We don't want people, like Mike says, selling Bitcoin to everybody in there. So we want to keep it pretty tight with people, mostly local people or people investing in the area that can add value to the group, that aren't just going to be takers, but are givers also. My website is billkennyrei.com. That's my real estate agent business. And you can find our real estate investor business at mdwvhomebuyer.com.
Awesome. And of course, I'm sure they can reach out to you on Facebook Messenger.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Bill. Well, thank you for your time. Guys, I trust that you've gotten something out of this. Drop some comments below. Let us know what you think. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. And again, Bill, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh. It's been fun. Let's do it
I'll
again.
talk to you soon.
See ya.
See ya.